This is Michelle, and you're listening to Words with Michelle, the podcast, a show where I sit down and have conversations with influencers on a range of topics, anything from natural hair, employment, discrimination, food, relationships, and everything in between. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. If you want to send me an email, hit me up at michelle@wordsmichelle.com. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Words with Michelle, the podcast. I'm excited about this show as it's completely different from what I have spoken about so far. The topic is light and was a lot of fun to talk about. Today I'll be talking about cancel culture, which is prevalent on social media. My guest and I will be defining it, speaking about its effectiveness, and talking about who has been canceled. I will be chatting with Zachariah Highgate, who is a recording artist. He's a writer, model, and web series producer. I interviewed him a couple years ago on my blog, so you can check it out. You can go to wordswithmichelle.com, or if you go to the blog, I'll just have a link, and you can read the past interview. So I just want to welcome Zachariah to the program, and he will define what cancel culture is. So today we're going to be speaking about cancel culture. So first of all, Zachariah, thanks for being here today. I want to ask, what is cancel culture? Just let everyone know, what is cancel culture?
I think it's that idea of, I don't want to call it public hazing, but it's almost like when there's that kind of group, something will come out about someone and people kind of rally together in a sense, and we see it on social media to kind of cancel that person for whatever they've done that is deemed something bad or something that's immoral in some way. And you kind of have that, it's not just one person coming out and calling that person out, it's multiple. And I mean, what it seems to be, as we've seen in certain cases, is the point is to get them canceled. And so they don't get, the public opinion that they have, they're not in the position that they're in, whatever that may be, social, political, economic, and trying to get them out of that because of whatever they've done or whatever has come out about them. That's what my understanding has always been.
So then who would be like an example of being canceled?
There's quite a few, I would say. One I would say, but then I go back and forth about it. There's an artist, who I think people feel like they did get canceled, but I don't feel that way because I feel like they still get quite a few opportunities.
Okay, so I'm curious. Did you want to say, or you don't feel?
I will say. I'll say there. No. How do I kind of allude to
so
them?
I will say it because
Yeah.
I'll take the flack. I don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the one person I think when we were speaking about cancel culture, the one person I think about is Kanye West. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
I mean he's canceled and I mean across the board. I'm not sure about across the board. I still like Kanye as an artist. I think he's fantastic. Like his first album, first CD, whatever, to me is legendary. I mean, I guess people tried to cancel him just for the things that he's said and the people that he supports, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, that's the first person that came to my mind. That's the first person when I thought of cancel culture. I mean, we do it when someone does something that we deem wrong or we don't understand. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So is it too negative to cancel someone? Like, is it effective?
I think it's important in a sense because you're getting, you may be finding out something about someone that would potentially, if you knew it otherwise, maybe you would look at that person differently, or maybe you wouldn't support them because of ABC. But I feel like nowadays, a lot of people think even if they've done something in their past or they know they were involved in something, I think a lot of people think people are just not going to find out, or they think they'll get away with it. And then I think that's why when you have someone who whistleblows and is like, wait, this person did this, and this only happened a few years ago, or they were involved in this, but now they're supporting something that's against that, like it's contradictory, then those things come out. And I do think it's important. I think one thing I feel, and I felt personally in social media, and I don't know if you felt the same, is I'm almost scared to when someone new comes along or there's someone comes up on my timeline, I kind of like what they're doing. I'm almost maybe not scared, but I'm almost like, is something gonna come out about, you know what I mean? Like, people are liking you right now, and I kind of like you too, but is something gonna come out that's gonna change my opinion of this? Like, that's what
Oh yeah.
my concern. Yeah, I kind of sometimes I'm like, how far is this gonna go?
Oh, what do you mean? Like, okay, so you mean someone coming on your like, okay, Instagram post or whatever, and having like an interaction with you? Like, I mean, like actually, like talking, like communication, or just or someone just liking your stuff?
No, I mean for me, it's like when I see somebody else doing something, let's say they're involved in art or they're involved in music or they're on
Yeah,
YouTube or something. For
yeah.
me, it's like I'm like, oh, I like their stuff. I want to watch their stuff. But in the back of my mind, sometimes I wonder, I'm like, I like you right now, but do I want to get invested in supporting you?
Oh, okay, I
And then
get it.
something comes out. Yeah.
Okay, so to counter this, I
Hmm.
mean, we're all human, right? Like
Hmm.
we all do and say things that, I mean, I am not an angel. I mean,
Me
appearance.
either.
No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But I mean, like, the thing is, we can't get mad at someone for. I mean, even when I did mention the Kanye thing, I mean, like, I mean, it's still his opinion. Do I have to agree with it? Absolutely not. I don't have to agree with it. I don't have to agree with any celebrity, and it doesn't even have to be celebrity. I mean, cancel culture mainly is celebrity because they have a bigger platform and they're speaking to like more people and they have a different effect. But I mean,
Hmm.
like, I mean, family can have ideas that I do not agree with, right?
Hmm.
But to me, cancel culture, I'm not gonna say I'm not a part of it. I'm not gonna say that when I see something on Instagram, because I do see things on Instagram a lot, and it is kind of it is kind of negative, right? I mean, but it actually is informative as well. Like it's good to know what someone thinks or does. If it's not saying that I don't have to share it, but if it doesn't support me, then I can not like that part of the person. If that makes any sense.
Hmm. No, and I feel like, and you can kind of separate the art from the artist.
It's
Is that what
hard
you're kind of
though.
saying? Yeah, I feel it's very hard.
It's difficult to separate the artist from the person.
Hmm.
It's really, really, it's difficult.
I think sometimes and I can't say this for everyone. I think for some of the artists that I, for example, support that have said really problematic things or they've done problematic things, for me, it is very hard. I think it's only for some of them. It's because I had a vested interest in them long before some of these things happen. And I'm not saying that's right because a lot of people use that as an argument because you have a lot of these stan accounts and fans out here and something will come out that someone said that was racist, for example. And their fans are
Mm.
like, well, girl, it happened when she was 15, 16. He was young. He didn't know better. And it's like, I don't like something like that. I don't agree with. But then there's certain artists that I still like to this day that there's certain things that they've said that have been problematic for me, especially being an artist. It's like it comes down to inspiration too for me. Like there's some people, like there's an artist, I won't say their name, but I still support her, I still like her, and she's very problematic, but and people feel like that, and
I
and
love the way
she
you say problematic. I wonder
she's
what it is.
she is like, and I'm not denying or discounting that, and I don't want to, but she had put out a snippet recently of something she's working on, and when I tell you I heard that snippet and it made me write a hook. And I'm like, yeah. And I was like, that's how inspiring and talented she is to
Yeah.
me that I could just write like that because of something she did. And so that's hard for me. But I also feel like even if you like somebody, that doesn't mean you have to not like they can't like, just like we're saying I'm separating the artist and the art.
Yeah.
I can like someone and still say they've done problematic things. I can still like someone and say, yeah, they're wrong for this. But I think we live in weird times where it's like people will try to defend, well, because they like that person, they'll defend and they'll argue and they'll say, oh, they'll make excuses for it. I'm like, but these actions, if they're public knowledge and they're public, like it is what it is. Like, let's not like discount it or discredit people's feelings just because you like that person and maybe their music's helped you or their stories helped you. That's great. But that doesn't mean that, again, like you said, no one's an angel. People make mistakes or people do bad things. You can still own that part of it and still like them. Like I think you can do both. I feel like people act like you either gotta love them through it all or you don't love them. And it's like, but I don't really think that's realistic because people make mistakes.
Do you think we're too judgmental? Like, do you think cancel culture came out of being just judgmental? I mean, like, and then also being by your computer and
Mhm.
on your phone. We have the screen that kind of shelters us from
Mhm.
saying these things, or responding to what we see on Instagram or whatever social media, right?
Mhm.
Like, are we too judgmental?
I think there's a little bit of a mob mentality because it's easy, right? You know, when I was thinking about this topic after we discussed it, and I think about like historically a lot of the things that are happening now. I don't want to get too deep into this, but a lot of things that are happening now, they've happened in the past in a different way. Like when we see things like, to me, something like reality TV, which you know I like reality TV. How is it that different from the gladiators?
Mm, okay.
Different forums, different mediums, different location, but what you're doing is very similar. And so I feel like this is almost, to me, when I was thinking about the topic, I'm like, this is kind of like back in the day when they would have a big town hall about whether or not someone would get executed. It's
Mhm.
and then they took a vote and they made a say. To me, it's the same. It's a very similar thing to that in a different medium. That's all it is. Yes, we're doing it online. You're right. We're sheltered behind a computer, but we're making a decision almost as like the general public to say that this person is not right, or you know what I mean. It's a different way of doing something that's been done before.
But okay, so now I just realized, do you think it's effective? I know I asked that before, but do you think,
Mhm.
does it work? Like, have we canceled anyone? Like, we'll say it, like, oh, I'm not supporting this person, but do we, have we really effectively canceled anybody?
I From what I've seen, I don't really feel it works. And I'll say, and I thought about this too when we talked. I don't think it works because, and I'd love your thoughts on this. I feel like if someone gets to a certain level and they've made connections with certain people and they're in different industries and networks, I think the thing is with cancel culture is like, unless the cancel is coming from the person who's writing that person's check, they're not going to get canceled because you and I can go on Twitter and say something, but if that person's employer or the people who are repping and supporting that person, they still want to support that person, they can still do it. The artist I'm talking about, who I'm not going to mention, but we can talk about it, you know, at a
Oh,
later
yeah,
time
when I
of
stop
day.
recording.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah,
talk,
when we stop recording, I gotta find out. 'Cause I'm nosy.
but this person will complain all the time about how they weren't treated right and they were canceled. They were not saying the word canceled, but they're saying they were, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
kind of publicly, dismissed or denied or whatever. But they're still putting out music. And number two, I've seen parts of some of their music videos and they have these really high budget music or big budget music videos where there was clearly a lot of time and money put into these projects. So for someone to sit here and say, oh, well, people aren't supporting me and people aren't doing this, but you're able to get these music videos with these amazing budgets. And there's a lot of girls out here who are very talented, who aren't in the media for any issues, and yet they're not getting a budget for their music videos, and they're not, you know what I mean, they're not on that level. So clearly someone is backing you and saying, you know what, even though people may not like you, I like you, and I'm going to give you X amount of dollars so you can have a music video. And it's like, to me, it's like, then you're not really canceled because the powers that be, let's say, are still down to support you and down to help you get to where you need to get. So even though we can all collectively say, oh, we don't like you or we don't like what you've done, so we're not going to support you, someone somewhere is supporting you. And if that is enough for you to get by, they're going to get by.
I think it's true. I think it's more of a money issue actually in that respect, right? Like, because of how I mentioned Kanye before, Kanye still has a lot of fans. Like I said, I'm still a fan of his music. Of his views, not so much, but he still has people coming to his house for his Sunday masses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he has like celebrities coming. People want to still go to his concerts, buy whatever. You know what I mean? So, and I remember, I just remember as soon as he supported, who he supported. I mean, everyone's like, they want to cancel him. How dare he? This and that, whatever. But he still has his fans. I mean, he
Mm-hmm.
still has people that will go to his concert, right? Or that album that he dropped, like
The Sunday Choir one.
yeah. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I remember being at my ex job, and this girl's like, Michelle, you gotta listen to it. You have to listen to it. Even though she wasn't a major fan of his anymore, but she still liked his music, right? So cancel culture is interesting. I think it's a way to to be very judgmental on people who are humans, because and it's also I don't think it's as effective. I think it's just being judgmental and just having
Mm-hmm.
your voice to saying, I don't like that. That's good you don't like that, but
Mm-hmm.
okay, like, you still supporting them or not? Like, you know what I mean?
And it's also the likes. I feel like the way even social media is built a lot now is it open. It's people talking and saying opinions. But let's say you and I don't want to share our opinions on social media. We can still go and like Instagram comments, we can still go and like Twitter comments, and we can retweet things, and so we can still have our voice out there by supporting what other people are saying. And when those things gain traction, and we have nowadays, I'm sure you see it every day on your timeline, there's some viral tweet about something that someone said, and sometimes, yeah, I'll agree with some of them, and sometimes I'm like, really, that's what went viral, you know what I mean? But because so many people supported it and saw it, it grows and it snowballs. And then that's kind of, what you see and what you and I see. And that kind of can impact how we're looking at situations now, because so many people, even if they're not saying it, have supported this idea or this opinion.
I agree with that. Like you said the mob mentality, right? Everyone gets on that bandwagon, right? Like when they hear something like, oh my God, I'm offended by that. So.
And those people who aren't in agreement, their stuff's not getting likes or their stuff's not getting those retweets, but it's still there. But it's not that people may not see that because they're too busy seeing what got 100,000 likes or 100 likes or whatever the case may be.
I think the bigger issue with this, I mean, it's social media, which I definitely want to tackle in like some other episodes. But I feel like the cancel culture obviously is so heavily dependent on social media, or dependent on our addiction to social media, right? So that's another thing. I mean, I do like, I totally love the topic, and I think it's interesting. It's so, I actually like the phrase cancel culture. I don't know why, but I just love it. I don't know why it made me laugh, but because it's harmless, right? Like it's a word that we say, like I always see it on Twitter. That person's canceled. You know what I mean? I can't. It's very funny to me because I guess I don't take it personally. Like I don't take it seriously. I think that's what we both got out of this, that it doesn't necessarily work, because I ain't seen no one canceled just yet. There's no one that I haven't, okay, maybe I'm blind, maybe I haven't seen it, but I've seen people talk about someone, but everyone always comes back. Like even remember how, I remember Kevin Hart got some backlash about some things that he said years ago, and he apologized, and then everyone's like, all right, that person's canceled. Kevin Hart, no, he's not canceled. He's not really canceled. Nope. You know what I mean? Like, there's a host of celebrities. Unfortunately, we put them on this pedestal and we judge them because he said something, 10 years ago. You were a different person 10 years ago. I was a different person 10 years ago. I was a different person 15 years ago. So I take it with a grain of salt. When I hear something and I kind of think, is this, I guess my first reaction is to be like, oh my God, I'm so offended. But then I really take time and place. And then I think of the time, and I think of maybe this person has grown, right? Think about it. I do not think that anyone is the same person. I hope you're not, from like even a year ago or 2 years ago. We were just on this journey of change, of growing and changing, whatever. Not to get too kind of like spiritual up in here, but we grow and change is basically what I want to say. And I can't hold someone to what they said like 15, 20 years ago, and I don't know, if you said it yesterday, then yeah, I'm gonna hold you accountable. Like seriously, if it were something that you said and it was recent, then I have issue. But if it really were some years, then I got to give you the benefit of the doubt. I really do.
Yeah, no, I hear that, and I think it also just, it's like you said, it also depends on like, because if they say, I feel like I've seen situations where it's like, yeah, they said something 15 years ago, but then someone will pull up an example from like 2 years ago, and then it's a year ago, and it's like some of this stuff can be it's very patternistic, you know what I mean? Like there's a trail, you know what I mean? It's where there's smoke, there's fire. Not with every situation 100%. Some people make a mistake, and then they definitely apologize for it. They're like, I was this, whatever. But I've noticed, I feel like I've seen situations where it's like, yeah, they may have said something 15 years ago, but then a recent situation happens, and you're like, oh, see. You know what I mean?
I knew it.
Same-ish, just a different day. I feel like some people don't learn, and I feel like some people have enablers around them who are saying what you're doing is okay. And maybe in your bubble, that's okay. But when you're like a celebrity or whatever, and you're servicing, you know what I mean? You're out and about to the general public, you know what I mean? There's people from different places where certain things are acceptable and certain things are not acceptable, and you're trying to be palatable to all these groups, but you know, if you're offending one of those groups back in the day, and then maybe around your group of friends it's okay to, you know, be disrespectful to that group, and you're like, oh well, this is my reality, this is my day to day. Well, that's not somebody's day to day, and they're listening to your music and they're being influenced by you. You know what I mean? So, you know, I feel like, but then that's another conversation about like artist development and like social media training and like PR and those things. I think those things just don't happen because I think part of the thing is, I think controversy just, it always sells anyway. So I think people are like, you know what? And it's like you said, people always come back. I hate to bring it back to reality shows again, I'm sorry, but I find with a lot of these reality show storylines, even if let's say someone is a villain one season and everyone hates them and they did something bad and the rest of the cast is against them, if next season they have a little redemption arc, I see how the comments and like the public opinion, I see how it changes. And suddenly people are able to like forgive this person and they're able to be like, you know, they're trying and they're growing and they're changing. So, but not even a few months ago, you were, you know, dragging them up and down and they're, you know what I mean? They're everything but a child of God. But now that they've done a little bit of soul searching, quote unquote, now we're all able to kind of get back on their bandwagon. So I agree. I feel like people always have a chance to come back because I feel like people forget. There's too much other stuff going on. You give it a bit of time and people will be like, oh, I mean, was it that bad? I mean, oh, okay, sure, whatever. Like people will just kind of forgive it, or they'll kind of just move past it in their own way. And then unfortunately, some of these things go unchecked, and there isn't real repercussions, you know what I mean? And people are able to play victim and then they get back to it, you know? So it's definitely, I think it's good for exposing things, because I feel like if you like someone and you find out those 5 things, then you can make that decision, that educated decision on whether or not you're going to support them or not. But if you don't know and you're supporting and maybe you wouldn't otherwise, maybe I'd say maybe it's good to know those things. But you know, it just depends. It depends on who's, you know, the pick of the litter that day, you know?
Yeah, it's true. I think what you said before about, I think people have a short attention span. So the thing is, we may cancel you for like one day, and then we're totally going to forget it like in a month. And please, not even a month. 2 weeks go by, a week goes by, and it's like it never happened. So I kind of want to wrap this up and think: cancel culture effective? Is it something that is it real? Is cancel culture real? You know what I mean? And I think it's bad. I think it's just people just kind of like just voicing their opinions. I think it's kind of being judgmental as well. Not saying that I don't do it. I'm not going to say that I'm not like up there to that person. I do that too, because when I hear something that I don't like, that I don't want to support that person. So I am definitely guilty of that. But when I really, 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 really think about it, I do forget. Like I will, unless someone like kind of hurt me to my core, not me personally, but has done something that to me I'm like, that's pretty unforgivable, then you're out. That person for real is canceled. There's a few celebrities, I mean, they could care less because they don't know who I am, but there are a few people that I'm like, nah, I'm good, I can't support. But other people, it's just, you know, nothing major. You know?
I will say there was one case I remember. They weren't, I guess you can choose whether or not you consider this a celebrity or not, but they were a YouTuber and they had a pretty big following. They were in the gaming community. And I was a fan of theirs. I thought they were really great, really sweet. And they ended up in this big controversy, with this other person who was kind of in that same community. And she kind of came out and said, some of the situations she had found herself in with them, and there was like, you know, some like psychological kind of abuse going on, and some coercion and stuff like that. And I will say he was not able to come back from that. They really, even his fans were like, you know what, I'm a fan of yours, I love you, I love your stuff, but what you did was wrong. And his, I don't even know if his channel is still up or if it's still up and there's no new uploads, but he really couldn't come back from it. It was just, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
No, I was just saying it was too big for him. It was too big.
I was just about to say, it sounds like it was severe. Like, I think it's the severity of what the celebrity did. Like, I mean, if a celebrity's in a fight or if a celebrity is whatever, that's fine. Like you don't really care. But I think if they do something that's jeopardizing like someone's safety, health, or if
Hmm.
someone's violent or racist, those are things that it's really hard to overcome that. Do you know what I mean? Like I really
Hmm.
think it's the severity of what they've done or said to get them canceled, to be honest.
Hmm.
So
It's interesting. It's interesting.
so any last words about cancel culture? Anything you'd like to say?
Um, I think it has there's pros to it because I want to be an informed person. It's like an informed buyer. You know what I mean? Like I want to know that the what you're putting in the products is actually, what you're selling. I want to know, be about your business. But I think after that it comes to an individual, you know, perspective and opinion of whether or not you want to make that decision. Because I'm like that too. I think for me how I think mentally I'm just like, nope, like you're done. Just like how you're saying, like you just kind of like, yeah, you're canceled. Like I'm not here for whatever. I don't have to support. I don't have to follow whatever. I think that's what it is. I think it's making that informed decision. Like they can come out and publicly say this person did this or did that, and I think every single person needs to make that own decision, their own decision of whether or not they're going to keep supporting or not. But I don't see it being. I haven't seen it to that extent where someone's like, sometimes it's sometimes it almost feels like it's just another day in social media. You know what I mean? Oh, this
Mhm.
happened next. You know what I mean? So it becomes a little less, and maybe that's why people are able to forgive, because it becomes a little less about the person and more about the problem. And so people separate it and they're like, well, since that person, someone else has done so much worse. So was that person that bad? Like
Oh
it's
my
just a
God.
lot.
Just what you say, I just thought of someone. I won't mention this person's name because actually I don't like him. In my eyes, this person's canceled. And
Mm-hmm.
I'll talk to you afterwards about who this person is. Um, yeah, wow. It really, really, really depends on what this person has done. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I wish I could. Sorry, y'all. I can't really say the person's name. I really want, but I don't want this person to come back at me.
Yeah,
So,
we're in the industry, y'all. We got to be
so I'm not even
careful.
sure if I'm in the industry, but the thing is, I ain't trying to like nah. But Zachariah and I will discuss this person
Ugh.
off camera. Sorry, sorry. I'm a punk.
No, it's business. It's business.
So, but anyways, I want to thank you for like talking about this. I like this topic because it's kind of fun. Like I mean, like
Mhm.
because this podcast is all about different topics, talking about anything. It could be light, it could be deep. But I gotta like this one because this is pure fun.
No, I enjoyed it. It's a good topic.
As you can tell, Zachariah and I had fun talking about this. I just want to thank him again for speaking about cancel culture and letting us know what exactly it is. If you'd like to know more about Zachariah, you can find his interviews on my website at www.wordswithmichelle.com. If you want to hear some of his music, you can find it at Spotify, Apple Music, Google Play, Amazon Music, and you can find it on his YouTube channel. Thanks again, and until the next time, bye.